G'day mate, and welcome back to Factorio with me, Jetty. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be sort of like a base tour. Let me start. So, every single month, I run a new community map. And this is actually the February community map, which you guys have seen the streams. There's been, I think, 6 or 7 have gone out over the course of this month. Just sort of highlighting some of the things we've done during the Factorio community map. So it's an open community map. I let anybody who wants to join come along, come play. And we play with a new theme and a new bunch of mods pretty much every month. And in the case of February, we did some interesting things. So I thought, look, I want to show this off. I want to do a quick recap because the streams are like 3 or 4 or 5 hours each. And there's 7 of them, so I know not everybody has watched all of them. So, this was the community map. As I said, for February, it's unfortunately over, but look, there's a new one open for March. If you want details on how to join the community maps, details are always on my Discord server. Scroll down in the description. You'll find right at the bottom of the description is actually a link to our Discord. And in here, we have, a pretty standard mega base. You can see plenty of solar to keep us running. We do have a couple of nuclear power plants to keep lights on as well. And this one is, well, we can see from map view that, very large steel build, another large steel build, red circuits, green circuits, blue circuits, speed modules, prod mods, iron and copper, plenty of green circuits, makeshift mall thing, warehouse right here, lots of rocket fuel, more rocket fuel, iron, copper, pretty stock standard, making lots of green circuits to make lots of red circuits, to make a lot of low-density structures, to make a lot of rocket control units. We can see science has been thrown in here in the corner, making a lot of shiny rocks. Got to have those shiny rocks. Got to have plenty of rocket fuel. Green circuits, red circuits, blue circuits. If we look off-site, we can see, there's a whole rocket build doing nothing but plastic. We've got iron, obviously. We've got... What else do we have over here? We've got another whole steel build doing nothing but steel being loaded into trains. Off-site, well, that's more low-density structures. A lot of low-density structures. That's a bunch of rocket fuel. I'm pretty sure you can imagine where this is going right at the moment. Oh. And the mother of all rocket control unit builds. Yeah, so this month we did something different. We built a mega base, which pretty much happens every single community map. Happens normally after 24, 48, 72 hours. Like, mega base is done. It's easy. It's over and done with. Then, generally, we move on to the challenge for the month. In February, I decided I'd give everybody a challenge. We go for a ribbon map, nice and simple. And we build a balancer. Now, everybody's seen a balancer before. You put 4 belts in one side, 4 belts come out the other. Same principle. Except this one is 1,024 belts. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, we've got halfway, 6, 7, 8, 9,000. It's 1,024 underground belts. Well, no, there's a couple of undergrounds in there for different reasons, but we'll get to that in a minute. So it's 1,024 belts in at one end that we're going to run through everything through a balancer to come out the other end into, yeah, you guessed it, rocket solos. A lot of rocket solos. So my intention for this month was we'd build a balancer, which is fairly cheap. The cost of a balancer is 389,000 undergrounds, only 38,000 blue belt, and 5.1 thousand splitters. The splitters are cheap. The underground, the normal belts are cheap. Undergrounds are super expensive. Can I even look at the exact iron cost? I can. It is 320 something iron for one single underground belt. Rocket parts are cheaper on iron, believe it or not, than what a single pair of blue undergrounds are. So the plan was to build a balancer, and then we're going to use it to test. Well, we're going to confirm that the balancer works. So we have a nice pretty counter up here. And the idea behind this counter is if I find the right one, pretty sure it's the... Nope, I got to set these to request nothing. Or maybe they need to keep the requests. I think they need to keep the requests. I don't know. We're going to find out in a second. So we have a counter up here. As you can see, there's 1,024 satellites on the belt. I'm going to hit the on button. And we're going to load 1,024 satellites into the balancer. At the same time, I'm going to try and crank the game speed. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as these refill, we can already see this belt's been stopped. So we're stopping any more satellites leaving the network. And if we run to this side of the balancer, it's a small balancer. We have another counter over here. And this is actually going to count how many satellites end up on this little belt section. So this belt section, this belt section, this belt section, that one. Can I run through here smoothly? Not really. This one, so on and so forth, all the way across to get to the last rocket silo. Now we have used slightly modified blue undergrounds. Basically, I just needed a way to span at least 9 tiles to get underneath the rocket silo. I think on the mod portal, the only one I could find did like 16 tiles or whatever it happens to be. It hasn't actually affected the blueprint. It just means that we can run undergrounds underneath these rocket silos just to make our life easier. Otherwise, we would have had to split all the belts out, spread them all out to get all the rocket silos in. But as you can see, there's just a rocket silo or 2 on this map. Yeah, there's significant silos for us to wait to load. And yeah, 1,024 doesn't evenly split between 9, it turns out. There you go. I know that's definitely going to be bothering somebody now. So yeah, only thing to do is sit here and wait for our counter to count back up. Oh, we're starting green lights in. Green lights means that some of the satellites have arrived. And we're just going to sit here and we're just going to watch the light count up. And just need the last couple of satellites to roll through the belts. 23. Come on. 1,024. So we now have 1,024 lights, little green lights on beside 1,024 rocket silos. And if we just zoom in and scroll through really quickly, you can see all the green lights are on. I know it's really hard to see with the way Factorio scrolls, but you know, it is what it is. Then we have a master control. Now the master control here blows out your speakers. I will warn you of that. But when we click the on button, it just makes the inserters just flick once. And it turns out if there's too many rockets going off, the sound actually breaks. And Factorio has a lag moment when it has to suddenly count up 1,024 rockets in one tick. So yeah, that was the first time we tested our balancer. Now, I know somebody out there is definitely yelling at the screen right now saying, hang on, but you didn't actually test to see whether all lanes worked. You just tested whether if you fed in one lane, whether satellites would come out on all the different lanes. So you're completely right. I should probably have the guys work on that next. In saying that, this is a community map, so it runs for a whole month. That accomplished this in 7 days and 2 hours. We're like 7 days into the month. There's 3 weeks to go, and they've already completed the whole mission, which I was shocked about too. So let's go look at the alternate setup for this balancer. For our second run, what we actually did is we had a single request to chest that was requesting a single satellite. If it pays attention, a single satellite into every single request chest, fed into every single belt. Let's get a map view and do a quick scroll down. Well, we can see some of them are still waiting for their satellites to be delivered. But yeah, we have one single request chest with one inserter fitting into every single belt. Go away, autosave. And it comes up here to this green wire, to this exact same combinator with a simple on-off button. And we're just waiting for the last, I don't know, 200, 150 satellites to be delivered into the request chest. Every single belt has its own request chest, its own single inserter. And hopefully, if all goes well, we should get 1024 light up here. At which point we can hit the go button and confirm that a balancer definitely works. And there we go. Flashy lights say it's okay, time to launch. We're going to flick that on. We're going to flick that off so we don't get any more satellites pop through the network. And exoskeletons. That's what I want. We'll run to the other side of the map again and watch a counter. And hopefully we get lots of satellites come out the other end. Because that is the ultimate test of a balancer, right? That if you feed one item into every lane at one end, ultimately, they should come out the other end. That definitely confirms that you haven't got any backwards undergrounds or any mixed wires or you know, a splitter missing, a belt missing, anything like that. So, again, we're just going to wait here for just a second and watch our counter count up. Hopefully. I do hope that was way faster for you guys than it was for me, because I've been standing here for about 8 minutes, shaking my head left and right, just waiting for the last few satellites to come through this balancer. It is a very big balancer. It has a lot of belt. It takes a lot of time for items to traverse. In fact, it takes over 2 autosaves. Yeah, it takes a while. Although, 1020, come on, 4 more. 21, 22... 23, yep, 3, 4, and a green light. Yes, there we go. Okay, again, we have a launch button over here. We've all seen it launched once, so we should definitely do something different the second time round. You are hooked into those combinators, correct? Correct. So last time we launched from the top. This time I think we should run to the bottom and launch from the bottom instead. Because, you know, everybody runs up to try and chase down the rocket, right, as it launches. Obviously, we should do the same, just with a lot more rockets. Like, a lot more rockets. Like, can I fit more legs in here? Do I have more legs? No, I don't have more legs. Okay, so we're going to put down a single constant combinator. We're going to set you to off. We're going to set you to... Actually, to be sure. To be sure. We're going to It is a constant combinator. Okay. For whatever reason, I can't copy my setting, my combinators one over one another. That red wire, that red wire, that red wire. That red wire, I hope. And we're going to hit the on button. And that one worked. JD doesn't do combinators. That red wire. There we go. Launch is happening. Run! And the sound's broken. But that's okay. I'm sure we can outrun a rocket. Or 2. Or 3. Or... We can just run past the halfway point of the balancer before it launches. So there you go. Now, a couple of things I want to cover really, really quickly before I show you the third iteration of this map. We are loading low-density rocket control units, low-density structures, and rocket fuel in. We're putting items on half of a belt each, and the other one on the other belt, and loading them in with long-hand inserters. There are no beacons here involved whatsoever, because at the end of the day, we just couldn't get materials in fast enough to warrant beacons, and the sheer amount of rocket parts you need to fully load this thing is ridiculous. We can see, like, you know, we just made 1 million science packs by launching all those rockets at once, and like rocket fuel, consumption. Rocket fuel. Low density structures. No, rocket control units, low density structures. Like, we just ridiculous consumption right off the belt. And by the time we get a quarter of the way down, a sixth of the way down, the blue belts are dry of rocket parts. So yeah, it just takes a while to reload this whole thing. Realistically, we're limited by the speed of our belts, even though we have, well, 1-2 belts of all the materials coming in, it's still not enough. So, back really quickly with the third iteration. And finally, we have our third iteration. So, between iteration 1 and iteration 2, there was only, honestly, around about, I think it was 14 hours. 14 hours between my first save and my second save. So it took them 14 hours to literally refill every single rocket silo, rebuild all the satellites, change over the loading system, and rebuild the whole thing. Now the difference is we now have satellites here loaded, combinators all set up. I think Euthorn did most of the automation on this one. So yeah, he did a wonderful job getting all this set up. But what we're actually doing is we're auto-loading in on every single belt. At the other end, we have all the satellites ready to go. Well, all the rockets almost ready to go. We're at... the light just went off, so we must have hit 1,024 or awfully close. The automation is not quite perfect, but I believe that's because there is an inherent delay between having all the satellites ready and all the silos ready. So what we actually do is we load everything across, and hopefully all the satellites show up as the count up. There we go. There's another one loaded and rocking, ready to go. Another one. Another one. Another one. Last one. Where are we? 99 out of 100. 100%. Done. Ready to go. So we're going through our phases. We've got first, second, third. All these parts are ready to go. And we're just waiting on our satellites to start feeding their way through the balancer. But yeah, he automated the whole thing. Constantly proving that the balancer still works. It now auto reloads the rockets, auto reloads the satellites at the other end, and then as soon as everything is set and ready to go, sets the whole thing in motion again and again and again, and has just automated the whole thing. So again, I'm going to speed up time right here whilst we wait for the balancer to finish balancing. Yep, I do hope that was way faster for you guys than it was for me. It does take a while for satellites to get through the balancer. I believe the balance is like 1,500 tiles long, and we're about to lose our eardrums again. Because once they're fully loaded, the combinators kick in and launch! And the satellite count goes up by another 1,024. Yep, SpaceX has got nothing on us. We get this thing reloaded in about 4 hours, I think it is. I think we're averaging 2 rockets per minute if running flat out. So I wish to thank the 41 players that came along this community this month and joined the community map. It was a whole heap of fun. I really need to especially thank Huff for his insane gear production to make 389,000 express belts, which is a whole lot of iron gears needed for the blue version, the red version, and of course, no, the yellow version doesn't need them, just the plain belts. So there was some insane gear production going on this map. Bilbo did spend a lot of time on the map as well, and also helped maintain the server, and as does Muppet. I can't even put a full list of players on the screen because they go way off the screen. But again, it was another fun month. Now, I do have to say, if you're interested in joining my community maps, we're currently doing something akin to Bite of Hell on the community map. It's a higher end PC is recommended, but not entirely required, so there is that there. Every community map is very, very different. Best place to get all the information is on the Discord server. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the description, you will find right near the bottom somewhere is a link to the Discord server. It's where you can chat with me live and also find out all the details about upcoming community maps, along with making suggestions for next month's community map. With that, I think that's just about everything. This was a very, very interesting map. Oh, I was saying, down the description, you'll also find some balances should you need a bigger balancer. You know, I think there's a 256 lane balancer down there and a 512 lane balancer. And of course, a 1024 lane balancer should you need one of these. On top of that, there is the 248 lane balancer. And I'm pretty sure there's also a 4096 lane balancer. You know, just in case you need to balance a lot of things. But yeah, they should all be down in the description below. I will warn you, you need a very good CPU to run a big balancer. You need a lot of RAM to load a big balancer. So, you know, there is that in there. Do not blame me if your computer dies whilst just trying to open a blueprint. It's just a part of life. Anyway, let's get out of this map. I also really hope you guys have enjoyed this video, as always. And I hope to see you guys in, what, 1-2 days? 1-2 days? For the next series, which starts, like I said, in a day or two. It's going to be, it's going to be a bit different. Going to be going a little bit back to my Mega Base roots. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.